As teams get about a quarter of the way through their schedule, we've seen players blossom into stars so far this year, and that's what we're going to be doing today is talking about the most surprising player who played above expectation for every single MLB team so far this year. My name is Avery Taylor. I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off with the Los Angeles Dodgers, we have Andy Pages coming from the outfield. I was big on him coming into the year, and right now he is proving his worth. Didn't start the year the greatest, but as of right now, currently has a 2.3 B WAR, 291 average, 348 on base, 486 slugging, giving him an 834 OPS, a 136 OPS plus. Looked great, especially here as of late, just crushing the ball, playing a good outfield. He gets to play right field, which is probably even better suited for him than center was. So everything is pointing up for Andy Pages. For the Miami Marlins, it is Kyle Stowers having an absolutely great year. 300 average, 375 on base, 571 slugging, a 156 WRC plus, 1.2 F4 across the season, 10 homers, 2 stolen bases, an above 10% walk rate. He is making the Baltimore Orioles look like a fool for giving him up for a reliever last year at the deadline. Kyle Stowers is proving his worth in Miami. The Royals is actually pretty tough to choose between Michael Garcia and Chris Bubik. I went with Chris Bubik because he is having a year that I didn't necessarily expect. Michael Garcia, I kind of expected him to take that step up last year, and he didn't. But Chris Bubik has been doing great things so far this year. A 1.66 ERA, 2.7 FIP, 3.41 xFIP, already accumulated 1.6 WAR across the season, striking out over 25% of the batters he's facing, walking under 7%, keeping the batted balls low. Obviously, you're playing in Kaufman. You're not going to give up a ton of home runs. He's just been doing great things for this rotation that was already loaded. For the Chicago Cubs, could it be anybody but Pete Crow-Armstrong, who so far this year has 11 homers, 13 stolen bases, plays some of the best defense that you can find in center field, 2.5 F4 on the season. He looks incredible, like a star. He has just been phenomenal so far for the Cubs this year and been a driving force for this team for looking so good. For the Washington Nationals, it's been pretty par for the course so far this year. Abrams producing, Wood producing, but Mackenzie Gore has really taken that next step as a starter, striking out an unreal amount of batters. 35% of batters are getting struck out by Mackenzie Gore this year, walking 7.5. He's getting kind of snake bit by the long ball so far this year, and you would see that in his xFIP and FIP numbers being quite lower than what his actual ERA is at 3.5. So he's just been really great, and you can only expect him to be better, especially if he keeps striking guys out like this. For the Chicago White Sox, we have to talk about Shane Smith, who has been a very bright spot for them out of the rotation. In his 8 starts so far, he's striking out over 21% of batters, walking under 9%, doing a really good job at limiting the long ball, so much so that the xFIP doesn't love him, but he has a 2.08 ERA at this point in the year. You cannot complain about that. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, there's really two options you can go with. It's either Geraldo Perdomo or Pavin Smith. I went with the Geraldo Perdomo just because he plays the field as well, hitting 5 homers, 9 stolen bases, walking over 15% of the time, striking out under 12% of the time, having a 291 average, 395 on base, 450 slugging, giving him a 136 WRC plus. Good base stealer, good on the offensive side, excellent defender, 2.3 F4 on the season. I gave it to Perdomo because he's doing it all around the diamond. Keeping it in the National League West, we have to talk about Jung Hoo Lee, who coming off a major injury you might have thought started the year slow, but he's done nothing of that sort. So far has a 286 average, 330 on base, 482 slugging, giving him a 126 WRC plus. Nothing that you can take away from this guy. He's an excellent base runner, excellent defender, and is just smacking everything with the bat. For Cincinnati Reds, it's a bit weird because they've had a lot of good producers in very small samples. So, with that in mind, I gave it to Jose Trevino, who, all in all, is having a good year in his first year in Cincinnati. Has a 308 average, 340 on base, a 516 slugging, a 129 WRC plus. He was a defensive first catcher for much of his career, and the fact you're getting a plus 800 OPS from him, unreal. For the Texas Rangers, it has to be Tyler Mahle, who so far this year has a 1.47 ERA across 9 starts and 49 innings pitched. He's just been great so far this year. I don't know how sustainable it is because he really isn't getting that many strikeouts, still has a decently high walk rate. He's just kind of keeping the ball in the yard, keeping the BABIP low, and that's yielding great results so far. It'll be interesting to see how that fares across the full span of a season. For the Milwaukee Brewers, it is another cog in this ever turning wheel of excellent relievers that they continue to find. This time it's Nick Mears, who across his 16.2 innings of work is a 0.54 ERA, the FIP, the XFIP, they're both excellent, and that's because he gets a crap ton of strikeouts. He doesn't walk anybody, and if you do make contact, well, you're putting it on the ground more times than not. He is just phenomenal and another piece to this excellent bullpen and looking like an excellent piece in the replacement of Devin Williams. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, I wish I could say they had the same sort of scouting system, but they don't. But I do have at least O'Neal Cruz, who's been having a great year so far. 8 homers, 16 stolen bases in his 37 games, a 129 WRC plus base runner, plus offensively. He's pretty bad defensively, I'll give him that, but he's been improving as the year has gone on. But excellent on the offense, finally seeing that breakout that we all knew he had in him. If I'd done this video even like 2 weeks ago, Tyler Soderstrom would be the far and away favorite for the Athletics. But I'm not going there today. I'm going with Jacob Wilson. At 354 average, we knew with him coming up that average would be high, but he is slugging a 500 slugging, giving him a 151 WRC plus. He's also playing good defense as well, not striking out. Also doesn't walk, but he has 5 homers and 2 stolen bases. So he really has a nice rounded out game for the type of player he is. Having 5 homers for his profile is really good, and he is really showing out so far early on in his career. The Angels, it was really kind of tough for me because I wanted to give it to Kyron Paris, but he's really cooled off after his hot start to the year. The pitching really hasn't been there either, so I gave it to Yohan Moncada, even though he's only played 17 games. If you had told me he's going to have a 131 WRC plus coming into the year, I'd say that's pretty surprising. Only has 2 homers because of the limited time, but he's still walking, has a good on base, has a good slugging. He's just been a pretty above average player whenever he's on the field. If he can continue to stay there, I definitely could see them moving him at the deadline. For the Padres, they have another former White Sox who went elsewhere and is succeeding, and that is Gavin Sheets, who in his 39 games has a 129 WRC plus, 290 batting average, 341 on base, 468 slugging, has 5 homers, even has a stolen base snuck in there as well. Obviously, he's been pretty much a DH exclusively so far this year, but he's been doing pretty good things out there in San Diego in a very surprising manner. Coming into the year, if you had told me Cedric Mullins was going to turn back the clock a bit and turn into that previously good hitter that we had seen, I would have thought the Orioles would have been in great shape, but we all know that's not the case. But Cedric Mullins has been good, above 12% walk rate, keeping the strikeouts down, has a 126 WRC plus, 8 home runs, 6 stolen bases, still plays an okay center field. He just does a lot of things well, and whenever the bat is coming along like it is, he becomes a very fun player to watch, and that's what he's been so far this year. For the Mariners, it has to be Jorge Polanco, in my opinion. There are some other performers like J.P. Crawford, Dylan Moore, but Jorge Polanco has just been unreal so far this year. 324 batting average, 373 on base, 657 slugging, with a 194 WRC plus, 10 home runs. He's been unreal, turning back the clock again at age 31 after having a really down year last year. Signed back with Seattle and has just been proving his worth tenfold so far this year. Who needs Juan Soto whenever you have Trent Grisham? Am I right? Oh my goodness, so far this year, 12 home runs, a 283 average, 367 on base, 628 slugging, a 178 WRC plus, and a 1.4 F4 on the year. Trent Grisham has been unreal for the Yankees, and you can't say enough good about him. Obviously, not Juan Soto, but all jokes aside, he has been great. For the Cleveland Guardians, there weren't that many surprising options, so I gave it to Daniel Schneemann, who, all things considered, in his platoon role is performing really well. 261 average, 337 on base, 489 slugging, giving him a 135 WRC plus, 5 home runs mixed in there as well in his 99 at bats. He's just been pretty good, and he was that last year, but I think he's just continuing to prove that he is a very solid second baseman. Despite their appalling start to the year, the Rockies actually have had a few bright spots so far this year. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Jordan Beck, who so far this year has been showing that prospect form that we once knew. 257 average, 322 on base, 514 slugging, giving him a 116 WRC plus. Obviously playing a good offense. Base running is still pretty good as well. 5 stolen bases, 6 home runs. Is still striking out quite a bit. Walk rate is still kind of hit or miss, but he's been pretty good so far this year, so I'm going to give him the shout out in this spot. If you had told me Harrison Bader would have a 145 WRC plus by mid-May, I would have definitely called you a liar, but here we are, 300 average, 384 on base, 464 slugging, a 145 WRC plus, Good defensively, as we all know. Offensively, apparently, is just the best player alive. Has 4 homers, 4 stolen bases. Walk rate pretty decent. Strikeout rate not appalling. He's just been pretty good this year. The BABIP is extremely high, so I would expect him to regress some point throughout the year. But so far, he's been great. So we'll go ahead and give him the shout out. In Tampa Bay, I don't think you can go any direction other than Jonathan Aranda, who so far this year has a 339 batting average, 430 on base, 562 slugging, has a 186 WRC plus, walking over 10% of the time, striking out under 22% of the time, and has 6 home runs. He's been great so far this year. Not much more you can ask from him. It's the stars of this team you really need to step up and kind of bring up the floor of this team. Heading north of the border, we have to talk about George Springer finding the fountain of youth because he's having an excellent season. A 288 average, 400 on base, 504 slugging, giving him a 158 WRC plus. He's a plus base runner this year, believe it or not. Defensively, appalling. We're not going to talk about it. 5 homers, 6 stolen bases, a 15% walk rate, striking out 25% of the time, but he has been unreal so far this year. Other names like Tyler Heineman, Brendan Little, they've been good. George Springer's been great. For the New York Mets, we have to talk about Griffin Canning, who the team acquired late in the offseason. It wasn't a premier pickup by any means, but they got 8 starts of 2.36 ERA type ball out of him. He struck out 24% of batters, walking almost 10%, but he's getting the results. And there's nothing really you can take away from him because he has a good FIP, good XFIP. That's because he's keeping the ball on the ground very well with a 53.9% ground ball rate. He's just doing really good things in New York. They continue to find guys like this who just pitch well above what their contract would suggest. For the Atlanta Braves, it has to be Drake Baldwin, right? I mean, he has a 338 batting average, 390 on base, 563 slugging, giving him a 165 WRC plus. Has 4 homers on top of that and pretty decent defense, all things considered. You couldn't have expected this coming here. Yes, he was a fast rising prospect. He was really showing out before he came into this year, but you expect him to be a stopgap for Sean Murphy. Maybe if he performed well, he's stuck on the roster, but like, I don't think it's fair to say you expected him to be the best hitter on this team. And that's what he's been so far this year. Moving to their rivals, the Philadelphia Phillies, we have to talk about Jesus Luzardo, who's been incredible in his first year in Philly. 2 ERA across his 54 innings pitched, striking out over 26% of the batters he faces, walking under 7, keeping the home runs in the yard very well so far this year. Even the BABIP is high on him, so you expect these numbers to be inflated. He's just been incredible so far this year. He's been the best pitcher on this staff, and this is a staff with Zach Wheeler. The Astros' most surprising player has been Jake Myers, who up to this point in the year has actually been hitting. We've all known he's a defensive first guy, that if he can hit, he becomes a really good player because defensively and base running wise, he has a very high floor, but the ceiling has always been a bit limited by his pretty much non existent offense. But so far this year, 300 batting average, 361 on base, 417 slugging, a 124 WRC plus, even has 2 homers mixed in there, an 8.9% walk rate, striking out under 20% of the time. He's doing things very well at the plate. Does he have a high BABIP? Sure, but let's give him his flowers while we can. Coming into the year, Wilyer Bray was kind of the odd man out for whenever Roman Anthony was coming up, but he's been holding his own in Boston so far this year. 279 average, 373 on base, 551 slugging, giving a 150 WRC plus, 11 homers, 4 stolen bases, plays a pretty good defense as well. He's just been incredible so far. He's been holding Roman Anthony down in the minor leagues, along with Jaron Duran and others. He's just been very good so far, not what you were expecting at all for the Boston Red Sox. For the St. Louis Cardinals, Mason Wynn actually hitting is very good for his development, and it has been surprising, don't get me wrong. But Matthew Liberatore finally breaking out has been amazing, striking out over 22% of the batters he faces, walking under 4%, keeping the ball in the yard fairly well. A 3.11 ERA, but don't let that fool you. He has a 2.31 FIP. Started 8 games, 46 innings pitched. He's been their best pitcher by far. He's just been really good every time he steps on the mound for the Cardinals. For the Detroit Tigers, I don't know if there's a wrong answer here. Javi Baez finding his form again. Yeah, that's been surprising. Zach McKinstry sitting in mid-May with a 124 WRC plus. That's pretty surprising, but I think you have to give it to Spencer Torkelson, who finally found his swing again. A 142 WRC plus, 240 batting average, 344 on base, 526 slugging, and 11 home runs. 1.2 F4 on the year. He's just been incredible. So glad to see the former top prospect found his swing again because he really needed to show up for this team because there was rumor about him getting traded, everything else, but he's performing great. And that's going to do it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know who you think was the most surprising player of the year of your favorite team. Whatever you want to comment down below, I'm here for it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.